Nearly $2 billion and years of construction. Tonight, the plans to renovate DIA face their first big test.
A major shift for the military as the president announces a ban on transgender troops.
Thieves steal a car belonging to a young cancer patient and her mom. An awful act that inspires the good in others.
Well, this is a blessing. Yeah, it's a very much blessing.
Mark Redwine was arrested this morning and charged with second-degree murder, accused of killing his own son. This is a case that's been ongoing for more than 4 years. Investigators slowly uncovered more evidence as time went on during multiple searches in southern Colorado near Durango. 9 News reporter Nelson Garcia joins us. Nelson, you spoke with Dylan's mother. Clearly, this is a very emotional time for her.
You know, that's right. I talked with Elaine Hall, and, she says it's never easy to talk about what happened. The last time she saw Dylan was when the court ordered her to send him to his father's house for Thanksgiving in 2012. Their breakup and custody battle was difficult, leading up to the day when Dylan just vanished.
And I'm not sure that we'll ever really know what happened.
Though nothing will ever bring him home to his mother, Elaine Hall.
It's bittersweet. I'd rather have my son.
She finds some relief nearly 5 years after her boy, Dylan Redwine, was murdered.
There was never any doubt in my mind ever from day one.
Thanksgiving 2012. Dylan went to visit his father, Mark Redwine, near Durango, when the 13-year-old boy disappeared, launching search after search and national concern for the whereabouts of the missing teen. Months later, Dylan Redwine's remains were found in different spots in the mountains near Mark Redwine's home.
And it's easier for her to blame me.
In a 2013 interview with 9 News, Mark Redwine denies everything.
I would never do anything to harm that boy.
But the grand jury indictment says otherwise, stating that Dylan's blood was found in his home, on the couch, along the floor. Investigators say a dog found the smell of a cadaver on Mark's clothes and pickup truck, and that Dylan's skull had 2 marks consistent with a knife.
Just sadness, how could you do this to him?
The indictment states Mark Redwine was upset that Dylan found compromising photos of him and confronted him with them.
I think there's a number of things. I think the pictures, when you just put them all together, I think it was just a culmination of everything.
Everything that left Hall with nothing.
I find great strength and comfort in our family.
But memories.
Just sweet. Every time I talk about him, I just cry, but just sweet and funny, and I can still hear his laugh.
Nearly 5 years later, maybe justice can finally find its way home.
Yes, it's taken a while, but I'd rather them have all the information that they need so that we can get a conviction.
Mark Redwine was arrested in Washington state without incident, according to police. After undergoing extradition, he will return to Colorado to face charges for murder and child abuse. Elaine Hall did say something interesting earlier. She said that if there hadn't been a change in leadership in the La Plata County Sheriff's Office and District Attorney, she does not believe Mark Redwine would be facing charges today. Victoria, she didn't want to elaborate any further on that.
Just a heartbreaking story, something we've been following for so many years. Thank you for that,
Yep.
Nelson.
Thank you.
To give you a better idea on the developments of this case, here's a timeline of what's happened. Dylan Redwine was last seen in November of 2012. On the 18th, he arrived at his father's house in Vallecito for a court-ordered visit. He was reported missing the next day. About 7 months later, in June of 2013, some of Dylan's remains were found about 8 miles from his father's home. In August of that same year, a cadaver dog found evidence of human remains in the living room of Mark Redwine's house. Dylan's skull was found in November 2015, and it was determined he had blunt force injuries. Just last July, there was a new search related to Dylan's death. Early this morning, his father was arrested following a grand jury indictment.
The Douglas County Sheriff's Office credits a statewide Medina alert for last night's arrest of a woman accused of hitting and injuring a 12-year-old boy who was walking down the street, and then the car sped away. A deputy pulled over 49-year-old Kimberly Miller just before midnight after receiving a tip from a driver on I-25. The tipster had seen a Medina alert, including the description of the suspect's vehicle on a highway message board. She spotted the vehicle that matched the description on I-25 near Bellevue and recorded the license plate. Sheriff's investigators used that license plate to track down the suspect.
Case, we have a 12-year-old boy out doing what 12-year-old boys should be doing in the middle of their summer, you know, with their skateboard and walking along, and then to be struck like this and have the driver just take off, you know, not right.
According to court documents, Miller's vehicle had damage to its front passenger side mirror, and she was driving on with her headlights off. She faces hit-and-run charges along with 1 count of careless driving resulting in serious bodily injury.
Big changes being considered for how we get around. DIA faced its first significant test of its plan to radically change the main terminal. CDOT wants to make several changes to I-70 in the foothills, possibly including straightening and flattening the interstate. And RTD got in on the action, proposing some new ideas for buses on Colfax. Plans to revamp DIA for $1.8 billion are moving forward. A Denver City Council committee voted 4-1 today to send that plan to the full council. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy joins us from DIA, where, Anusha, we're learning more about the plans that started with a conversation about security.
Yeah, the one spot that we all got to go through, that security checkpoint, is too open, too vulnerable. That's according to DIA officials. It's also what started this entire conversation that then morphed into a much larger project that would be funded by DIA money, private developers, but not taxpayer dollars.
We know that we have to do something if we are going to stay competitive in the world of airport.
This is part of what developers came up with, making way for new restaurants, increasing check-in counters from 169 to 176, and most importantly, changing security by moving it up a floor and enclosing it.
When the airport was built, it was never meant to house TSA. After 9/11, we had to shoehorn in TSA, and it's not an ideal space for them.
Construction would last 4 years, including adding in more curbside drop-off space. Then there will be a 30-year contract for a developer to help with maintenance.
$1.8 billion is a lot of money.
That's not the only concern.
We're really worried about moving all of the level 5 security activities up to the already constrained space on level 6 where we do ticketing.
We have a lot of time to continue to work with them to address their issues.
What DIA doesn't think it has time for is to wait on making these changes.
We have a responsibility to make sure that it thrives, to make sure that it can grow and that we can accommodate growth so that new airlines can come in, new airlines can add flights.
For 21 months, the airport set records for the number of passengers coming here and is the 6th busiest airport in the country. If approved, construction would start next summer and be done in phases.
So you would see us build the ticket counters first so that we could free up space to then build the new TSA, and then we would move TSA up to that level. So it's not like it would just be this massive, 4 years of all kinds of construction. We'd do it in phases and open each phase as it gets completed.
Some food and store workers here are worried about losing their jobs. DIA saying developers will work with individual stores, but maintains that there are going to be plenty of opportunities if this plan does go through. The proposal could be brought up as early as the next City Council meeting coming up on August 7th. Kyle?
Anusha Roy at DIA for us. Thank you, Anusha.
This morning, President Trump changed course on a military policy that even caught the Pentagon off guard. He announced a ban stopping transgender people from serving in the military. And tonight we hear from 2 Colorado women who served in the U.S. military and are transgender. They served as ranked officers and told 9 News reporter Eddie Randall that who they are never affected their service to their country.
I am a U.S. Marine, and I will always be a Marine. I'm also a transgender woman.
Emma Shin served 20 years and was stationed all over the globe.
As an infantry platoon sergeant, I led Marines in direct combat on the streets of Fallujah during Operation Phantom Fury.
During that time, she knew who she was, but was unable to freely speak about it.
I served underneath Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and also the ban on transgender service. That was an incredible burden to keep my personal life and my work life separate. So that I didn't risk being discharged.
She retired in 2014, but remembers the day transgender troops were able to serve openly. She worries that progress could be erased after this morning's tweets by the president.
I was livid, and I felt betrayed. And so it took me a little while to kind of to compose my thoughts, and for my attitude to change from being angry to being resolute.
She too went on social media to express her thoughts.
My fight is against oppressors of any cloth.
There was a sense of panic Like, what's going to happen?
Layla Ireland served 12 years in the Army. Her husband, who is also transgender, is an active staff sergeant in the Air Force. She says they have been through so much working for equal rights in the military, but this created a sense of helplessness.
It's tough to have to read. It's tough to a tough pill to swallow. But we know that we have to keep moving forward.
Now, both women hope their fear will be brief.
I hope that this will be dismissed as the ravings of a Twitter fanatic, and that the actual policy that follows this will not change.
Emma Shin says she wanted to put a voice to her experience because many current troops are still afraid to speak out. She says after speaking out on her social media accounts, she got a lot of support from people all over Kim.
All right, Eddie Randall, thank you.
This next story begins like so many random crimes. Police are looking for 2 people suspected of stealing this Subaru from a hotel in Aurora last week.
Yeah, it wasn't just any car, though. For one family, it was their lifeline. 9 News reporter Dan Grossman brings us more on a story that took a positive turn today.
That is so nice to see.
You may be thinking,
What do you think?
why all the cameras?
We got it back.
Take a look at this once stolen Subaru and then the face of this 11-year-old who depended on it, and the answer becomes clear.
I just figured it was not coming back, so this is a blessing. Yep, it's a very much blessing.
10 days ago, this is what happened to Jennifer Tyler's Subaru outside an Aurora hotel while she was sleeping, waiting for her daughter Corey Ray's next leukemia treatment at Children's Hospital.
So I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it was gone.
Her reaction is what you might expect.
You know, that hits a special spot in cops' hearts and in the community's hearts.
But that of the responding community, you may not.
Kind of like, wow. Within an hour, we had it covered.
Gail Jetchik of the Havana Business Improvement District made the initial call. Let's pay for the damages and give the car back to the family for free.
I guess you could say it kind of made me mad. Definitely.
Chris Lasko first took the car in, repairing the inside.
Somebody needs help, gets help. That's
yes.
it.
Ray Myers and Kyle Rago quickly followed by redoing the paint.
Anybody with cancer, yeah, it's a bad thing to go through, but if we can help, we're always here.
Paul Terry supplied the tires, and before you knew it, a community of businesses had rallied in support of a family they had never even met.
You know, I've got special needs children at home, so I would expect that somebody would hopefully do the same for me.
In an instance like this, the car may seem like the payoff.
Everybody is just awesome. I don't know what to say except for thank you so much.
But for Jennifer, it was the resulting smile on the face of her struggling daughter.
I feel so happy. You feel so happy. Yeah.